We're talking basketball today. There's a new set of rules governing how underclassmen prepare for the NBA draft. Our guest today is Steve Olenick. He's a partner at Loeb Loeb, and he represents a lot of pro athletes. First of all, welcome to the studio, and congrats on the new gig, by the way. Moving on up in the world.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Working with a good firm.
Appreciate it.
So now these kids, these college athletes, can basically do something that they couldn't have done previously. They can basically say that they want to be considered for the NBA draft, but they're not going to give up their college eligibility to do so. Do I have the rule change right?
No, you're 100% correct. I mean, they're actually allowing student athletes to test the waters. So in the event that they get great feedback, they have the opportunity to actually forego their eligibility, enter the NBA draft, and get drafted. Because you've got to understand, with the NBA, the difference of, say, $4.8 million to about $1 million, if it's the last pick in the first round. So in the event that you get drafted in the second round, it becomes an unguaranteed contract. So if you get the right feedback, you're going to have the opportunity to actually assess your options.
So say I'm a starting center, at UConn for
your team,
right? That's always my example. They test the waters. They project they're going to be a second rounder, not a first rounder. They can go back and they can play another year at UConn, no problem?
Well, they could assess the situation. So what they can do is they can say, go through the thorough testing, go through the interviews, and then opt to go back to school. And hopefully they'll be able to get a better draft status the following year.
So why did they make this rule change? What was driving it?
I think it's giving the opportunity for student athletes to really assess and to go back to school. So I think the NCAA is looking at this as an opportunity to work with the student athletes so that you're not just going to enter the NBA draft just because you feel like you have to.
Were pro teams pushing for this, or is this something that just happened regardless
I think it's a
of their
collective
views
meeting
of
of the minds. I think it's something that's great for the student athlete, and I think it's great for the NBA as well.
I could see, on the other hand, how it makes life harder for the pro teams, though, because they're assessing people, they are taking the time to figure out what their needs are going to be going into the draft. And in terms of preparation, they're going to be looking at assets, for lack of a better word, that might not necessarily be there at the end of the day. No, right? I mean, it's something that, it could make a GM really...
Well, think about it. Think about it from the GM side, but also think about it from the student athlete side. You like to go back to school, and then potentially you fall into the second round, unguaranteed contract. You decide to forego your eligibility, don't get drafted, well, then your college eligibility is gone. So it's a whole, you have to really take this feedback and take it all in and assess yourself, have a really good, competent team around you to say, this is the best position and this is the best option going forward. Because a first-round draft pick is guaranteed money for at least 2 years.
Sure. So walk me through how this year's draft is going to look different from last year's. I mean, what are some of the big ticket implications?
Yeah, I think a lot of student athletes may decide to test the waters, to actually go through the NBA Combine, do the testing, see how well they fit in terms of their actual status to see where they potentially could get drafted. So I think more people will be, more often than not, willing to go through the combine to actually do the testing. I think that's one of the huge advantages what we're going to see this year versus unlike other years where student athletes wouldn't just do it because they'd be afraid that if they didn't pull out, they'd be actually losing their college eligibility.
So you expect a lot of people to take advantage of this. You expect a much larger combine this year than other years?
Yes, I do. And I think it's a good opportunity for student athletes to really assess themselves as being professional athletes. Because, whether the coaches or themselves, once you go through that rigorous combine and then you really get feedback, it will kind of show themselves what they have to work on, or they're ready to become a professional basketball player.
And it helps management at the NCAA because, they did something now that can be perceived as, beneficial for the student athletes, something they were searching for quite some time.
Absolutely.
Steve, thank you so much for your time today, sir.
Thanks a lot.
That's Steve Olenick, partner at Loeb Loeb. I'm Lee Pacchia for The Street. Thanks for watching.